Does your furry friend take over your bed every night? It's time to reclaim your space while giving them the comfort they deserve with the coldest, cozy dog bed. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description to buy now on Amazon.
A day at the beach for former Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews and his family ended with a cyclist in hospital and sparked a legal saga that continues on a decade later. Ryan Mielman was 15 years old and riding his pushbike on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula in January 2013 when he suffered extensive injuries after a collision with an SUV driven by Mr. Andrews' wife Catherine. A now adult Mr. Mielman is suing law firm Slater Gordon, which he hired after the crash, for allegedly failing to act in his best interest when it negotiated an $80,000 compensation settlement with the Transport Accident Commission. Mr. Mielman has been seeking Mr. and Mrs. Andrews' phone records as part of his case, with his lawyers initially requesting 11 years' worth, but paring this down to just the day of the crash after pushback from lawyers for the couple. Mr. Andrews had fought against providing even this single day of records, but on Monday backflipped and agreed to hand them over. What happened? Mr. Andrews called a press conference in 2017, while sitting Premier, to address questions about the crash after a Freedom of Information request was made by media and subsequently denied. There are a lot of rumors flying around, there's a lot of pretty awful stuff being peddled around the place, and I want to answer it once and for all, Mr. Andrews said. Mr. Andrews said he and his wife, along with their 3 children, were returning to their Mornington Peninsula holiday rental in Sorrento after a morning at the beach. His wife was behind the wheel of the Ford Territory as it traveled through the coastal town of Blairgowrie when it made a right turn from Melbourne Road onto Ridley St. A bike path runs parallel to Melbourne Road, which Mr. Andrews said was obscured by trees, and which then cuts across Ridley Street about 17 meters from the Melbourne Road intersection. He said the car came to a complete stop at the intersection, turned right from a stationary position and was traveling very slowly. In her police statement, Ms. Andrews said she had turned from Melbourne Road after coming to a complete stop, and, just after we turned into Ridley Street our car was struck heavily on the front driver's side by a cyclist who it seems was attempting to cross Ridley St. at speed from the bike path. Mr. Andrews said the boy hit their car and smashed the windscreen, sending pieces of glass into the back seat and causing his children to scream. He was moving at speed, he absolutely T-boned the car, hit it at such force he was literally inside the car. That's how much the windscreen was depressed, he flew up over the car and hit the road, he said. Mr. Andrews said his wife helped the boy, who asked her to call his sister, while he called 000. The teen suffered a punctured lung, broken ribs, and internal bleeding, and was left with 10% of his spleen. He spent 11 days in the Royal Children's Hospital. Mr. Andrews also shot down suggestions he had been behind the wheel. She, Ms. Andrews, was driving, but I wish I had been driving because then maybe she'd be spared some of the quite shameful stuff that's been put around, and maybe things would be different, he said. Police bungle and differing accounts. The 2 junior police officers who attended the scene did not breathalyze the driver, Ms. Andrews, as a standard procedure because they had both assumed the other had done it. Mr. Andrews said one of the officers later apologized to his wife for not conducting the breath test. Mr. Mielman was also not given the opportunity to make a statement to police about the incident during the investigation, at first being too ill and then officers did not follow up. In April 2023, an ambulance report surfaced in the media which was made at the time by paramedics who attended the scene. It appears to conflict with Mr. Andrews' account their car was traveling very slowly and the cyclist had T-boned them. The patient care report reads, 15 years old on bike. Struck on L side by car traveling 40 to 60 km/h. PT onto bonnet, then onto windscreen which cracked on impact, thrown onto roadway. Pictures released in 2022 grainy photocopies of police originals show the SUV's windscreen smashed from a heavy impact on the driver's side. A few months after the ambulance report surfaced, the Herald Sun published the account of a witness, Portsea local and former nurse Jane Crittenden, 66, who was D.